open for good and welfare. Doug, I'm not sure how you want to work that.
So I'm going to need to go to the back of the room where we are hosting the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
And I will be calling on people from my phone.
Gotcha. Okay.
Stephen L. Stephen L.
This is Stephen.
You have 3 minutes, Stephen. I would like to contribute to good and welfare.
Okay, I don't have a lot to say, so I don't think I'll need 3 minutes, but I just wanted to register my disappointment with the fact that in this current political climate, when we see the protests, the rallies, the marches, when we've seen how the inequality in this country has been laid to bear and has been made very, very apparent to anyone with a TV or a smartphone, or anyone who's really been paying attention, I just find it a bit ridiculous to watch the council proceedings where the one black woman on the council didn't get a single, not even a second for her nominations, not a single vote, while the 6 white councilors all voted for each other. For deputy mayor, for second deputy mayor, while this woman is literally the top vote getter and has been the top vote getter in multiple council races that she's been in. So I just want to register my displeasure with that. I'm a little concerned about what kind of dynamics that's going to lead through going forward through the council. Are we going to have the one black woman on the council, the only person of color on the council in a town that is half people of color? Is she just going to be ignored by her fellow councilors? I just want to express my displeasure with what we just saw, and I really hope that going forward that this council that is not representative of the population demographic-wise will at least listen to people of color and make decisions with their perspective in mind that they actually listen to, because based on what we just saw, I find it very hard to see that going forward. And I'm very concerned that we're going to have a council that is not going to be making decisions with all its townspeople in mind. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
That's all. Second that.
Your hand is raised. Yeah. Unmuted you. Just a second. You're up. You have 3 minutes.
Hi.
You have 3 minutes, Dina.
Hi. First, I want to identify myself as an observant Jew. I agree 100% with what Stephen Lee just said. I feel like there's an elephant in the room, and I feel like it's very disingenuous for many of the people on the dais who have expressed solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement and turn around and pretend that nothing ever happened. I'm actually very disappointed. And, you know, there was an election during a pandemic, and money talks, and there was some outside influence going on, and I feel like that's not fair. This is not a democracy. And I also feel like, as Stefan said, basically it's going to be a circus, because if the votes are going to be 6, one person against 5 people, that's not democracy. I don't see Teaneck being represented on this dais. I'm an Orthodox Jew, but they're actually a minority, and I don't feel like the people who are on the dais understand what the town is and what people want, and that's very, very concerning to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dina.
I'd like to speak.
Debbie Isaac, we are unmuting you. Give it just 1 second.
Hi.
You have 3 minutes now.
Hi. Debbie Eliyahu.
How do you get to speak?
You raise your hand. but right now I have my 3 minutes. I would like to congratulate those who were elected and those who have been elected to positions today, but I would like to actually echo what Stephen Lee and Dina said before me. At the last council meeting, there was a lot of talk about diversity in the town and how the different boards are not representative of the residents of the town. And, you know, I look at the council and it is not representative of the diversity in the town. And I too am disappointed with the election now of the officers. Deputy Mayor Schwartz and Deputy Mayor Katz have had experience as deputies mayor, and granted, experience is a very important thing, but we also need diversity in those offices. And I think it's very, very important that Councilwoman Romney Rice, who is experienced in the council, and she is active in events, and she reflects the more additional diversity in this town. I think it would have been very important for somebody other than herself to be supporting her candidacy for these positions. And I too am very disappointed that that didn't happen. And I too am a member of a minority in a number of regards. And I'm disappointed that that didn't happen as well. And so I stand shoulder to shoulder, albeit with a mask and socially distant, with Stephen Lee and with Dina. And I wish this had turned out differently. And I register my disappointment, because I think that the diversity of the town, which we all celebrate, was nothing to celebrate this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
I would like to speak. I would like to speak. I was just muted by the host. I would like.
I'll yield my time to the woman who desires to speak. I'll go after her.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to speak, you need to raise your hand on the app so we can have some organizations do good welfare. I apologize, it's not ideal.
I'm sorry, but this has been confusing. I don't see the hand raise on my computer. The murder of George Floyd brought people of all races and ages to the streets to protest police brutality and racism. In Teaneck, there were at least 3 demonstrations with African American, Latino, Asian American, white participants. 2 of them were led by Teaneck. They carried signs mandating equality and justice. By the way, I'm Dr. Gail Gordon, and I'm with the Neighborhood Association. We can no longer remain silent about the obvious lack of representation in the Teaneck Council, the most powerful elected body. In the last election, there were on average only 394 votes between the African American candidates and the winners. That's 394 votes. We acknowledge that those who won received the most votes, but we will not accept that they represent the views of the community. It needs to be noted that in 2018, Jervon Rice received more votes than any of the other candidates, including Jim Dunleavy, our new mayor, Keith Kaplan, and Ellie Katz. Jervon Rice received more votes than any of them, Jim Dunleavy, Keith Kaplan, and Ellie Katz. And yet, when it came time to selecting officers, neither Ms. Rice or Dr. Pruitt were chosen. This is an overt act of racism. action beyond those elected. The council must ensure that decisions are being made that are truly informed and not simply rubber stamped by those who have very narrow interests. The council has the opportunity to demonstrate to the residents that they are anti-racist, to show commitment to anti-racism, action to be taken to reach out to the African American community and proactively include them on advisory boards and statutory boards. In addition, new ways need to be found to show the council is part of the active opposition against racism. You sent a clear message today with your vote to elect a leadership without an African American. It would have been so easy. What are you afraid of? You basically told us that Black lives don't matter in Teaneck. This will certainly cause more unrest in our town. We refuse to be ruled by a council that does not take our voices seriously. Our town needs leaders that represent all of Teaneck so that the power is shared, so that one group does not dominate town politics. This is a new era, and we will not tolerate being shut out and dismissed.
You have 5 seconds, Ms. Gordon. Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Mr. Stone, we see you. We are unmuting you now. You have 3 minutes.
Here. I happen to be white. I happen to be male. But I also recognize that there are a lot of people here in Teaneck who are not like me. There are 20,000 women. There are 11,000 African Americans. Not a single one of them is represented on this township council leadership. I think this sends a horrible message about what this township council is about. And this racism, explicit racism, is not something new. It goes back to 2012, when there was an opportunity to elevate a fine quality African American male, James Kinlock, and elevate him to a seat on the planning board. This council appointed to that seat a gentleman who had no experience, who had never served on a land use board, who works as a legal secretary and has no relevant knowledge or experience that would push him to that position. Yet he used that to be his stepping stone to become a township council member. This is a sad pattern. Even sadder is a resolution that is on the agenda this evening that is going to give a significant increase to our township attorney at a time where there are millions, tens of millions of people out of work in this nation, where there are thousands out of work in Teaneck, where the township attorney has deliberately removed inclusion of open litigation, matters that were explicitly included in the 4 retainers he had previously signed, and for which he implicitly recognizes that he was billing improperly and illegally. We already see in the selection of its officers that this council has acted improperly. We've seen for years that members to statutory boards have deliberately excluded African Americans and those with any dissenting voices. But now we're seeing a council giving away township dollars to a township attorney who is being given a more than 10% increase, whose budget is being increased 30%, and has nothing to show for it to justify why he, in this difficult circumstances, is being given this kind of increase. I think this entire township council, certainly 6 of them, should be ashamed of themselves. And I think this bodes very, very poorly for the next 2 years.
I'd like to go next.
Renee,
Okay, can you hear me okay?
yes, Renee.
So, thanks. I'd like to congratulate particularly the new members, Ms. Organ and Michael Pagan. And I'd also like to thank for their years of service the 2 retiring people, Mohammed and in particular Henry Pruitt, who has served the township faithfully and loyally and selflessly for so many years. And like so many others of the people who've spoken already today, I was quite saddened, particularly given what's going on in today's world, that the six of you couldn't even legitimize Javon's candidacy by giving her a second.
I would like to speak.
And so it's quite disturbing, particularly given that one of the new council members is also a woman who has probably faced some kind of issues in her life. And for Michael Pagan, in fact, who even talked about how he doesn't want his son to be subject to some of the things that he's been subjected to, and signed off on a recent Facebook post with "Si podemos cambiar el mundo." Well, I implore particularly the new people who perhaps haven't gotten into the rhythm of the back office deals that perhaps some of the other people on the council are right now, that you should think about how you're changing this corner of the world and making it open to be more representative of the town and not getting sucked into the power vacuums and really giving a chance for the town to be fully represented. Thank you.
I'd like to speak.
You need to raise your hand, yes, and you have or press star 6 so we can call on you in an organized fashion.
So far, everybody has spoken against what the council did.
Ms. Ortiz, if you wish to speak, you are unmuted.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. It's Lucrea Ortiz. I'm a township resident for 17 years and a proud member of Teaneck Women Together. I have a few observations. First, congratulations to our new council members as well as those appointed to new leadership positions. The people are talking. I heard the people tonight. Gone are the days where elected representatives will not be held accountable and the people will be asleep. What I observed are a lot of my white brothers and sisters seeing what I see on a daily basis, watching a brave Black woman up there self-nominate and not get a single vote. I echo all of the sentiments that everyone said before us. I challenge every single council person to look inward. As a leader, you look inward. How are you going to become anti-racist? How are you going to facilitate community dialogue that goes beyond diversity and include and looks to inclusion and equity? How are you going to build real bridges in our community, right? We speak on our diversity constantly, but we are not an inclusive and an equitable community. And we need to examine that at this time if we want to keep touting ourselves as diverse Teaneck with this rich history. So I want to leave you with a challenge, each of you, and also reiterate that the people are watching and we're holding everyone accountable so that we can become that inclusive community that all of our children deserve and every person who lives in this town deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz.
I'm unable to raise my hand, so is there I'd like to speak.
Can I go next after her? Hello? Am I next?
Ms. Rogovan, you're up. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah. I've been a resident of Teaneck for 37 years. This is a diverse town. I am shocked, I'm disappointed, and I'm ashamed of what happened tonight. Ashamed and shocked and disgusted and disappointed. And I have a request for the new mayor and the 2 deputy mayors. I ask that one of you find the decency to give up their newly elected position tonight, to give up your elected position so that the leadership of our town council will represent at least some of the diversity of Teaneck. This is a disgrace, what happened. And it looked like it was already pre-decided. It was quick and easy. Quick and easy. Is there one of you, Mayor Dunleavy, deputy mayors, will one of you give up your position tonight and offer that position to Javon Rice, who was nominated, sadly, just nominated by herself? Please do this for our town. Do it tonight.
I'd like to talk.
I want to go after Tucker Powell. Lillian Lewis, can I go after Chuck Powell?
Yeah, I'd like to speak also. I don't know how to get into your system.
And so would I've been asked.
Yes, members of the public, if you wish to speak and you are on the mobile app.
Have I been recognized?
I'm on Zoom.
If you're following Chuck Powell, Lillian Lewis will go.
Have I been recognized?
No, Dr. Powers, not yet. I apologize. I heard number ending in 515. You're up.
Where elected representatives will not be held accountable and the people will be asleep. What I
phone number ending in 515. Your
brothers and sisters, seeing what I see on a daily basis, watching a brave black woman up there self-nominate.
Do I speak now?
Number ending in 515.
I challenge every council person to look inward. The leader.
Anyone who wishes to participate in good and welfare, if there's a technological difficulty where you can't participate, feel free to send an email to the clerk at teanecknj.gov if you're having trouble raising your hand in the app.
Have I been recognized?
Yes, Dr. Powers, you're free to.
Will you start my video, please?
Dr. Powers, we're not doing anybody's video this evening.
Why is that?
The council cannot see your video.
All right, I'd like to quick 3 issues tonight. In the first place, the Moving Teaneck Forward slate has failed to report its 20-day post-election report. It had already gathered $45,513. We have no idea how much they gathered. In its last amended report, it had 6 expenditures which were erroneously reported by its committee chair and treasurer, something I verified with the Election Law Enforcement Commission this afternoon. And somehow, one entire month after it was supposed to have turned in its 20-day post-election report, it has not been sent to the Election Law Enforcement Commission. Is that the way we want to conduct elections in this town? Second, Mr. Dunleavy, you had said in 2016 that the county's public information officer should not be able to even run without stepping down from his position. Has he stepped down from his position in the county at this point? Because very clearly the the chair of the
You have
county.
Dr. Powers?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, do you have something to say to me, Mr. Ruscioni?
You have 1 minute, Dr. Powers.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dunleavy called for his not running in 2016. Has he stepped down at this point from his position in the county, which is clearly, as you clearly pointed out, in conflict with his current position on the council? And finally, I'd like to point out that we are tonight looking at a resolution where you plan to give the township attorney not only radically increased hourly rates and additional opportunity outside his retainer, but he actually has requested a budget number that is literally 32% above what he spent last year in the legal expenses line. Is this town properly run? Can we get somebody who knows what it is to actually calculate numbers and carry out an effective way of holding this town to some form of financial responsibility and conflict of interest?
I apologize, Dr. Powers. We need to try to keep some organization for the time that's here. Ms. Carmen Vega.
Lillian Lewis is next.
Ms. Carmen Vega, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I too am utterly disappointed in the way this election today was carried out. It does not represent the diversity that exists in Teaneck, the diversity that I am extremely proud to call my home in Teaneck. To have representatives sit on that council and not even acknowledge the one lone African-American woman on the council who has served diligently, dutifully, and honorably. And none of you sought the decency to second the nominations. This looked like a rigged election, and I pray to God that each and every one of you understand that this is a diverse community that should represent everyone, not just the few that is sitting on the council. You do not represent the entire community. This is a community that is a true melting pot. And I would hope another young lady echo, one of you deputies, the way you're sitting there, your posture, that doesn't even seem like you care about what we're saying, how hurt we are to witness what just took place. This is a travesty, and what's happening in America today, you guys just simply represented everything that is taking place. And you sit and you talk about, you stand with Black Lives Matter. I did not see that represented tonight. It would be heartfelt if one of you deputies gave up your seat this evening. I'm sick of seeing the same names being rotated.
Lillian Lewis is next.
Thank you.
This is Lillian Lewis.
All right, thank you.
This is Steve.
Lillian Lewis is next. I've been in this town almost 38 years, and I also speak on what, this is Lillian Lewis speaking. I've been in this town almost 38 years, and I agree with what Stephen Lee said about the election. Giovanni Rice is very experienced. He's very involved in the community, and Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Katz, Councilman Katz and Schwartz, one of you should have stepped down to give Giovanni Rice the deputy mayorship, either the first position or second position. Look into your heart, speak to God about it, and I think you should change your mind about that position. God bless you.
Is it possible for me to speak?
Sorry. Mr. Stephen Savage, you have 3 minutes. Ms. Lewis, if you're still listening.
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Savage, you have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me? I'm not
Yes,
sure.
I can hear you, Mr. Savage. You have
Okay,
3 minutes.
thank you very much. I am Steve Savitz, Alicia Avenue. I'm speaking as a resident tonight and as co-president of the East Spokane Neighborhood Association. Today is indeed a very, very sad day. for many state residents, especially the African American community and their allies. We now have a new council majority of 6 like-minded individuals and only 1 African American, Javon Romney Rice. The new council majority has just shown just how much Black Lives Matter to them. They had an opportunity to put action behind the words they all wrote after the murder of George Floyd. Instead, they continue their forced march to rule and dominate Teaneck politically. Not just the council, but the planning and boards of adjustment, and most certainly the advisory boards. The township needs a major reform in these areas. They refuse to give up any power to the African American community or come up with some creative ways to get the much needed formal input from all residents, especially people of color. There is racism in Teaneck, and we all know it, but our council majority seems to have their blinders on. Black lives do matter, and we all have to work even harder to convince the council majority just how much Black lives matter. By their lack of proactive anti-racist actions, they somehow think Teaneck is fine as it is. I don't think so, and I know many of you don't as well. We don't want another Philip Pennell murder to take place. Teaneck needs police reform like every other city in our nation. My hope is now with the Black Lives Matter youth.
20 seconds, Mr. Savitz.
I'm sorry?
20 seconds, Mr. Savitz.
Came out and marched demanding an end to racism and to mourn the murder of George Floyd. They need to take the banner. If the Black Lives Matter wants to find racism in Teaneck, I would tell them to show up at council meetings. One African American in a town is disgrace. How did this happen? There's more here than just that. There's more here than they just got the votes. I think we all.
Sorry, Mr. Savitz, we need to keep it that timeline. 1, 2, 3, stand.
And you know it.
Good evening. This is Sandy Silverberg. Thank you for letting me speak. I want to congratulate those people who are newly elected to council. I hope that you will perform admirably. I am so stunned and so disappointed and so saddened by what took place this evening. A couple of weeks ago, I participated in the march. It was uplifting. It was hopeful. It was very well done. And then what happened tonight has made me so sad. I don't know that I will hold myself back from crying. I wrote to the council members recently, if not now, when? I'm absolutely appalled, stunned, so disappointed for people to not have recognized that we have diversity in the town, and yet on the council, in no way is that represented. I find it absolutely unforgivable. And please understand it's not personal to any of those of you who are accepting office, but to have essentially tossed off a segment of the population that is represented here is horrifying. I wish you all well, and in please God, be wise enough to reconsider what happened here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Silverberg. Ms. Paula Reiner. Ms. Paula Reiner, you've been unmuted. Give us just a second.
Good evening. Yes, I'm on the line. Good evening. My name is Paula Madison Reiner. I'm a resident of Teaneck, and I am the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Bergen-Passaic County. I'd just like to echo most of the sentiments heard this evening. And there was a quote a long time ago that said, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. And that has been witnessed here tonight at this council meeting. Black women have always been a vessel of transformation in this country, and we support Javon Rice as she stands for the voice of people in Teaneck, a town that prides itself on its diversity, but has clearly not shown that in their actions this evening. It's unfortunate that we've had to come to the council on numerous occasions to stand for Black women, whether it was Denise Belcher and her appointment to the planning board, or tonight for Javon as part of the executive committee or mayor or deputy mayor. It's unfortunate that the Teaneck community is not represented by everyone on this council. And as a community, we will stay vigilant. We will make sure that our voices are heard. Javon, congratulate you as you have made your seat at the table. And we will stand by you as you are the only voice that represents all of the community of Teaneck. And we stand by you. We stand for Black women, and shame on this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gwinnett Reese, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening. Good evening. My name is Gwinnett Reese, and I'm also a representative on the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. But more importantly, I am a human being, and I'm a Black woman. I am extremely, extremely disappointed of what was demonstrated this evening. I am so shocked. My heart went into my stomach when Javon had to nominate herself, and no one came behind her and seconded her. We're in a world of Black pain, and with what's going on in today's world, I cannot believe that none of the council members, including the newly elected council members, did not even second her nomination. It's a sad day, but we will move forward. We will march forward in peace. But please let this be an example. And I'm going to echo one, I forgot her name, who spoke previously. She said, one of you should give up your seat. And I'm going to echo that same sentiment. So I hope by the end of this evening, someone will have the courage to step up and step aside and let Javon Rice do her job as she has been doing diligently on this council for so many years. Have a great night.
Thank you.
I'm asked to speak, if possible. My name is Pat Phillips.
1 second, Ms. Phillips, you need to raise your hand if you have a wish to speak. I apologize. Ms. Ostroff, you've been called on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. On behalf of the Teaneck League of Women Voters, we want to congratulate the newly elected council members and wish them success over the next 2 years in working together as you represent the interests of all the residents of Teaneck. We know this is not an easy job, and we hope that all 7 of you will continue to demonstrate active, involved leadership of all our citizens. As council members, leadership not only involves decision-making, it also involves active listening to different points of view, including those that sometimes can be critical. How you demonstrate responsiveness and respect towards residents will determine how you earn that trust that we have placed in you. The Teaneck League of Women Voters has long maintained an observer corps of members who voluntarily monitor as many meetings of the council, board of ed, and the council statutory boards as possible. Their job is to report back to our league members on the discussions and actions of our elected representatives so we can be kept informed. We also occasionally comment on actions being contemplated by the council, Board of Education,
and/or the statutory boards do offer constructive points of view. At present, we are keenly interested in the proposed ordinance on advisory boards that was brought to the Council's attention in May, then tabled for further discussion. The League is appreciative of the Council's work on this ordinance, but we have suggestions as to how to improve certain sections of it, including the process of selection of advisory board members and chairpersons, improving communication with all those who apply for the advisory board positions, and increasing the ability of the public to learn what agenda items each advisory board discussed over the past year. Our League would like to be included in the discussion of this ordinance as you move forward on its consideration, and we hope that we will be invited to the table along with representatives of other community groups that have an equally active interest. Please keep this request in mind as you decide how to move forward on this ordinance in the coming months before its final approval by the Town Council. It can only benefit the leadership of the council members to demonstrate transparency and compassionate engagement of all our residents.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. Tisha, you are unmuted. You have 3 minutes. Tisha, you have 3 minutes. Tisha, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, there you go. Hello, I'd like to make a correction. This is Natalie Addison. Because of technology, I'm on Tisha's computer.
Nice to hear you, Ms. Addison. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I just want to say I'm coming here with a heavy heart. I'm upset and I am frustrated. First of all, whatever the election was, it's over. It's voted in the new council people. But I am totally frustrated with the way this reorganization for the mayor and the deputy mayor. This was decided behind closed door. Don't tell me that Romney Rice has been here. She is Schwartz and Katz and Romney Rice. She should have been moved up into one of those positions. Katz and Schwartz, you've been in that seat last term. Y'all cannot keep holding on to a seat. There should be a term limit. This is ridiculous. There's absolutely no reason why Romney Rice should not have had one of those positions. And nobody second her motion. This is racism and sexism. So you better get your act together because this is unfair to the Teaneck residents. And I don't want it to come to where we are having a 2 Teaneck. This is supposed to be a 1 Teaneck, a 1 community. But based on what I'm seeing, it looks like it's splitting into a 2 Teaneck. And I am very unhappy about the way this went about tonight. So I'm frustrated, but I will voice my opinion and I will be at the council meeting because my eyes will be on you. And as for Katz and Schwartz, I go along with the other one. As far as I'm concerned, Romney Rice should have been considered for the mayor or one of those deputy mayor positions. So my thing is, somebody should give up their seat. Good night, and I wish you all luck. But if you're working for remember, you got the seat, you're working for the residents of Teaneck and not for yourself. Don't be like the federal government. Please, don't let it come down to where now it's into the community. We've got to do better, especially with Black Lives Matters now. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Addison.
May I speak?
We will get to you this week. We have unmuted Mr. Michael Klatsky. Klatsky, you have 3 minutes. Mr. Michael Klatsky.
Yes, am I connected?
Yes, you have 3 minutes, Mr. Black.
Okay, thank you. So tonight I wanted to discuss, to the board, to everyone at large, a little bit about this philosophical debate that our election was about before we had this national discussion over the past month. Over the past 5 years, several members of this, several people who have spoken so far, I've seen speak at meetings about development issues in the plaza, Cedar Lane, Road, master plan, and the entire election season. We got flyers after flyers after flyers about the master plan. Some candidates were for the master plan. Ms. Rice, they spent 5 years against development. This was a referendum on development. That's what this is about. And in light of recent events, I think it's only fair that the council do something, provide an offer. I mean, an offer that I would make is, offer Ms. Rice an opportunity to become deputy mayor or mayor. If she pledges to, support a rezoning of Cedar Lane, a rezoning of the plaza, a rezoning of Teaneck Road, perhaps hiring the same Rutgers University Blaustein School of Planning team that did the comprehensive master plan for the city of Hackensack, which is now seeing lots of revitalization. Those all seem like fair things. This was an election about issues. This reorganization was about our local issues. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blacksky. Patricia Phillips, you've been unmuted. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My friends and family of Teaneck, it is really unfortunate what has happened here tonight. This council does not care about what we are saying, and they do not support, represent the township of Teaneck. Everybody in Teaneck, that is. Please recognize, my friends and family, that there's a political machine here in Teaneck. They are running a good show in our town. The only way is to vote them out and to stay vigilant. So I'm saying to all my friends and residents in Teaneck to rise up, stay woke, and vote them out.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Mr. Dora Lacey, you are being unmuted. Mr. Dora Lacey, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. I regret that I am not in Teaneck. I'm in South Orange due to the coronavirus, but I certainly am there in thought and in mind. I first of all want to congratulate Dr. Henry Pruitt for all of the things that he has done to help to make Teaneck a wonderful place to live. And to Javon Rice, you stand out as an outstanding woman in every possible way. And I am truly disappointed tonight that you were not appointed one of the deputy mayors or mayor of Teaneck. I was sitting here during the coronavirus. I had written a poem because I had so much hope about Teaneck. I hope I have time to read it to you. From the Lenape Native Americans, the European Dutch of New Amsterdam, through strife and tribulation, George Washington stand and adoration, Teaneck was born. The first and most unusual times, named the Model U.S. town in 1949, integrated their schools peacefully in 65, the first in the nation without mandate or crime, disturbing the tense through the years, perplexing and at times perverse, open dialogue, sometimes producing tears. Teaneck held on its claim of resolving problems and being the first, proud of its citizens so renowned, the first woman mayor, Eleanor Kincaid, the first African-American deputy mayor, Isaac McNabb, the first mayor of Muslim religion, Muhammad Mahideen, the first African woman mayor, Lizette Parker, all first mayors in this first town. Does another America need to die for all to hear the black man's cry? Continuity, I can't breathe. Mr. Last begging for peace and justice. Decades has been the black man's cry. What happened to Teaneck's Welcome and Friendship Day? Citizens worshiping, visiting the neighbors all over town, frequent concerts in Botey Park, children coming to play. Perfect and concerted effort to spread justice and equality all around. Teaneck, I thought before tonight, can be first again. This is not a fantasy, it's an expectation, a plea, a clarity call with excellence in all areas of life.
Please find the period, Ms. Lacey.
Teaneck, I'm almost through. Teaneck champion equality and standing tall. A town truly embracing all.
Please find the period, Ms. Lacey.
Fulfilling the creed. All men are created equal with unalienable.
I apologize, Ms. Lacey. We need to stick with the 3 minute. Tanya, you are unmuted. You have 3 minutes. Tanya, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Tanya. You have 3 minutes.
I heard you. My name is Tanya Pagan Raggio Ashley, and I want to first congratulate all of the new members of the council. And I hope and I pray that you will serve all of Teaneck. Regarding Councilwoman Javon Rice, I'm not surprised at how the vote went tonight. But if you really want to look at Teaneck and you want to look at all of our children and all of the people who live here, there needs to be more diversity at the table. If someone is not at the table and at all the meetings and has input on all levels of making decisions in the council, then it is not a full table serving the community. I think one of the things that Ms. Rice brings to the council is she represents all of the children from our educational system, which I am on. Last but not least, I hope as you look at the planning boards that you'll use that as an opportunity to be more inclusive, that you'll look at people like Denise Belcher and consider placing her in a full position and look at the people of this community and have them represented on those boards.
1 minute, Tanya.
No problem. I just want to close by saying we have lived through the worst of times. So many of us have been impacted by COVID, have died by COVID. I hope we can all learn to move forward and work together with the beauty and the uniqueness of our diversity so that we can do better for all in Teaneck, people of all ages, especially our children who have no voice, and the elders who have little voice, both of which have high needs.
30 seconds, Tanya.
I'm done. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Tanya. Be safe. Julie Walkenberg. You've been unmuted. Julie Woodenberg, sorry.
Yeah, hi, no, that's okay. I don't want to spend too much time repeating what people have already said because I think that people have worded it quite well. But I just wanted to note how much press has been made about our previous mayor, Hamaduddin, as being touted as a figurehead of diversity in previous Teaneck town councils. But to me, it seems that if this person is if that person of color is a woman, or perhaps not in collaboration with those other members of the board, then she will not receive the same support as Hamaduddin has. I'm a lifelong resident of Teaneck, and I know that we are a diverse town, which today I really feel that we're being threatened by gentrification that is occurring in the approval of several high-rise luxury buildings. And as a town which has a history of redlining towards Black people, I just want to know how our newly elected town council can be particularly careful to ensure that these new developments are not displacing Black and brown Teaneck residents. And I just would like to implore the newly elected officials to think about how they can address this. I also want to say that before this voting happened, there were a few speeches about applauding democracy, but I'm wondering how we can do that if we're not listening to what the people are directly asking, which is that several people who have spoken before me have directly called for one of you to step down. So I would like at least for that to be acknowledged after the comments. And I'm not sure if normally we would get an opportunity as the crowd of people to vote as a second or show our opinion like while the voting is happening. But I feel that as this was meant to be a public meeting, we should have been able to show our opinion in the time of voting. And I would like to call for a revote under the circumstances, because I think that there has not been sufficient space for public input in the Zoom call. 5 different people have texted me about not being able to get into the Zoom call because it has been capped at 100 people. I believe that even if this is not a procedural thing to do, that during this unprecedented time, that we should make an exception, and today there should be a revote, because I think that the people have sufficiently stated what we want as Teaneck residents, and if you cannot listen to that and you know, just step down, if not
40 seconds, Julie.
Yeah, I think that if you can't step down and or call for the revote, then I don't understand why you're running for town council. That's not the official. The point is to stand for what the people want. So listen to what the people want. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Miss Holly Wanamaker, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, can
Miss Holly Wanamaker, you have 3 minutes.
you hear me?
Yes, Miss Wanamaker, you have 3 minutes.
My name's Hallie Wanamaker. I've lived in Teaneck for 30 years. I was a teacher in the public schools here for a very, very long time. I was also very honored to be the recipient of the Matthew Feldman Community Relations Award. I was given this award by this council, I thought, because our town celebrates diversity. If there's one thing we all have in common, no matter what, you know, ethnicity we are, race, religion, is we love our children. And passing on our values to our children is one of the most important jobs we have as adults and citizens. I would like to echo the demands of Paula Rogovan and Julie, who spoke before me, and ask that one of the deputy mayors step down and allow for there to be a revote, so that we are showing our children that we actually do honor diversity in our town. I think that one of you needs to show courage and do the right thing. I think you need to stand up for the values that you I think you need to do a Mitt Romney. Listen to your conscience, revote, and let's do this again. And I'm also appalled that is a limit of 100 people, that there's all these people who want to get in and voice what they're thinking. We should have all been speaking before the vote, and then you should have voted. So I call for a revote, or I call for somebody to step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wanamaker. If anyone else would like to participate in the good and welfare section, you need to raise your hand in the app or press *6 if you're calling in the phone. Howard Rose, you're being unmuted.
Thank you. I can't get a hook on this video thing. At any rate, good evening. I joined the meeting just a few minutes ago. And perhaps that puts me in a more fortunate situation, because I don't even know who was elected. All I've picked up on was who was not elected. I'm going to bring you back a couple of years to a situation regarding James Kinlock, a man who was knowledgeable, educated, very appropriate for the position that he was in, and looked over several times in terms of jumping from alternate to a regular member on the board, the planning board. And what a loss to the board. And now, unfortunately, what a loss to all of us, because James has passed away. At any rate, I really don't care about the color or the ethnicity of anyone at this point in time. What I'm looking at is I know everyone on this council, having served with all but one on a board, whether it's the planning board or the Board of Education. So I know you. And I find it unfortunate that we're in this situation right now. All I'm looking at is we have a person who has one of the highest votes when she was elected to an office, who is no longer a novice, who has experience, can do well, and was overlooked, and almost discourteously overlooked from what I'm hearing from other people saying at Good and Welfare. I don't know how you address this and how you get over it. I respect all of you. You know, I've supported you at different times in different ways. Other times I've been against some of the things you've done, but I believe all of you are for the benefit of Teaneck. Maybe tonight we can really benefit Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Wilson, you have 3 minutes. Wilson. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude our Good and Welfare for our reorganization meeting 2020. Unless there looks to be one more person in the crowd here. Mohammed Hamiduddin.
Mohammed Hamiduddin, and then Henry Pruitt.
And Dr. Pruitt. Dr. Pruitt, if you'd like to go.
Okay. As of 6 o'clock today, I've changed my location from sitting on the dais to sitting in the audience. I go around the world, and I've traveled quite a bit, and I tell everybody who I meet, I'm from Teaneck, New Jersey, an oasis of multicultural understanding. When Lizette was made mayor, I gave Ellie Katz my vote for him to become deputy mayor. And I said to the public, it is important that we have diversity in the leadership. A couple of years later, Yvonne Rice ran for election. And she came in 700 votes more than Mr. Katz. She wasn't asked to be deputy mayor then. Now, this council has an unbelievable task between the pandemic and the economic situation. Then they're going to have to make decisions. And they need this township behind them to believe that they're really concerned about everybody. I think the council made a mistake tonight. They had an opportunity to elect a Jew, a Catholic, and a black person, and they elected 3 white men. The atmosphere in the country looks down on that kind of behavior. I wish all of you the best of luck, and I'm going to be supportive when I can, and if I'm not supportive, you'll hear from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pruitt. Mohammed Hamiduddin.
Well, this is new for me, but congratulations to all the newly elected council people. It is an interesting time that the majority of council doesn't have 4 years of experience. So when people are talking about a new council, you can't get any newer than that. But you're in good hands. You know, the Township of Teaneck is an institution. Listen to the people who have been in that institution. You have Dean Kaczynski, you have Glenn O'Reilly, you have Chief Turetsky, you have Ellie Katz up there, who's been there for 20 years, so that you can see mistakes that were made and things that we were reviewing that were done before that will be due, that you don't make those mistakes again. I'll also say that, you know, as a council person, I've been in the majority and I've been in the minority. I've sat outside of the leadership and I've been in the leadership. For the township residents, the mayor does not have any more power than any other council person. You're one of 7, you all know this. And to be effective, all you have to do is push your own agenda, and you can be an effective council person, like I was between 2006 and 2008. That's me joking.
Hello?
But
Can anyone hear?
We
for my
can't
friend
hear
Jim
him,
Dunleavy,
and it's unfair.
for my friend Jim Dunleavy.
Turn it back on.
Can you mute them or no? I don't know why. Okay. For my friend Jim Dunleavy, thank you for doing this. As you can see, you know, there's the best days of being mayor usually are the first day and the last day. And the only advice I can give you is I have a gift of you of 2 letters. You know, being mayor is a very lonely position. So what will end up happening is you'll come a time where you won't know where to turn. And your deputy mayor and your other deputy mayor will leave you and you'll have nothing to do. So open the first letter. In it, it says, blame everything on the last mayor. And then hopefully this doesn't happen in 2 years, but you'll come in again. And there'll be a time where you get into trouble again. Then you open the second letter. In there it says, sit down and write 2 letters. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is a tireless job. I know you guys are all going to do great, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, that closes good and welfare.